Daytime with Aston, Avery. Stephen Smith joins me, and now we're joined by the lady we love, regular to Gateway 97.8 author Samantha Lee Howe joins us right now. Hello, Samantha.
Oh, hi, Aston. Hi.
Hi, Samantha.
Hi, Stephen. Hi.
Is that Harry Potter behind you? What's that picture behind you?
No, it's not actually. It's a painting of one of my books. It's the original art for one of my book covers. Oh. So there's three of them on the wall. I'll move that a little bit so you can see it. All three of them are there.
Oh that's
that's from the Duke's Chronicles.
So there was a lovely do the other week. I don't think you could come to, and the new book of Samantha's was released, The House of Killers, which is a great read. Can you tell us all a bit about The House of Killers?
Certainly, yes. If you take Killing Eve and you mix it with Jason Bourne, you've pretty much got what the concept of how I developed the House of Killers trilogy. It's 3 books currently. The first one's The House of Killers, the second is Kill or Die, and the third is Kill a Spy. And it's basically full-on action-packed about a female assassin who wants to learn where she came from and how she became what she was.
Oh, no, I could ask you this question. You know, I'm only a little bit into the book, but you watch something like Born Identity or whatever, and there's all these cars. How do you write a car chase?
I know. Well, it's really interesting, Stephen, because I was watching some action on a TV program yesterday and said, oh, how would I write that? You know, that scene. And really what it is a lot of it unfolds behind my eyes like a film anyway. And what I do is I try and translate it and turn it into words. Not easy, because sometimes it can come out a little bit too, forced. But I think the idea is just to put imagery into people's heads to imagine that there's this fight scene or there's a car chase. Put those moments in that you would particularly notice on a film. That's what I try and do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, your best-selling book here, Samantha, The Stranger in Our Bed. In a way, is it about someone who is bullied, especially that this month is Anti-Bullying Month and coming up this week is Anti-Bullying Week?
Absolutely. I mean, bullying takes shape in many, many forms, and it happens an awful lot within marriages. And in this particular case, The Stranger in Our Bed is about a couple who, the girl's married to someone who's basically a narcissist and is a control freak, and she has no life of her own. And that is most definitely, she is being bullied because the fear of what's going to happen if she doesn't do as she's told, is always there, which is something that narcissists and control freaks use very much in relationships.
It's interesting what you say there. She has no life of her own. But sometimes people going into these relationships did have a life of their own. And I found that some narcissists, which is an illness in itself, I have to say. Yeah. Start knocking away the friends is the first thing to do. They start to go slowly, but they go, don't they? They get rid of them, and
they do. And it's all down to the manipulation of the partner. Yeah. And this could be a male or female partner. It doesn't, we automatically think. I think a lot of people automatically think it's the male partner controlling a female, but it can be any sex at all. And if you've got 2 people in a partnership and one of them is stronger willed than the other and the other one likes a peaceful life, which is usually how it starts, that you just agree for the sake of not having an argument. Yeah. And in the end, you find yourself not being able to disagree for it all being twisted back on you.
I don't know if you found, I sometimes find some cases that some people are comfortable in those relationships and they almost go into them, and even though they actually attract a narcissist and they actually enjoy being in those relationships.
Yes, I mean, there's a certain element of not having to actually make decisions for yourself, I suppose, could be, if you look at the psychology of codependency like that, definitely certain people just don't want to make their own decisions, and it's a lot easier for somebody else to take responsibility for them.
Or they grew up in an environment, or I find they grew up in an environment like that, and then they mirror it in their relationship with kind of a controlling father or mother, and they grow into it. But as we say, is Anna Kennedy's give us a break. We say no to bullying. Be kind. Were you bullied as a child or in life? We're talking about artists being bullied.
Yeah, I mean, I've had suffered a lot of bullying, to be honest, myself, even as part of being an author. bullied by other writers, for example. I won't be saying who, but I was massively bullied by a group of writers some years ago. And you know, it's a terrible situation to find yourself in, because you're not doing anything wrong. The problem is actually how they feel about themselves. It's not even you. I think a lot of the time when people bully you, it's because they have issues themselves that they reflect onto you.
Yeah, do you know, so true. Right. Okay, I was saying to Aston that often the bullies are hurting themselves. Come from a background of being bullied, basically.
Or insecurity of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, it is shocking, but it's what to do about it. That's what we're talking about today. You know, I mean, there are places to go and talk about it, and as British people, we're dreadful at talking, aren't we?
Definitely, especially about subjects like bullying.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to admit that they weren't strong enough to stand up for themselves, because even though that's wrong and it's not a matter of them being strong enough and it's not their fault, they feel that they failed in some way. They feel weak because they didn't stand up for themselves.
Yes.
And again, we have to get out of that mentality and accept that sometimes, you know, we're put into situations that make us feel afraid. Yeah. And, you know, we shouldn't be put in those situations, but it's not necessarily the right thing to fight back either in those situations. Walking away is the best thing usually.
Yeah.
Usually walking away or standing up to yourself is normally the best policy. Speaking to a loved one is even better here. But is there any advice, Samantha, you give out to our listeners who are being bullied, especially when they're at home here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is recognising that you're in a situation that is bullying, because often these situations are very manipulative. And the bully in particular will be putting across their view in such a way to make that person feel they can't disagree. And it's recognising that, first of all. And when you do recognise it, definitely get help. There are lots of helplines. I know actually one of my beauticians, she has leaflets in her salon that she gives to any of her clients that she feels are in, you know, a difficult situation. And I think it's recognising the signs, first of all. Very important.
There's places like Refuge and other places that will help and legally help you as well, isn't there? Especially for women and for men. I mean, we always paint the picture of it always being women, but men are very badly bullied and hurt. And I think EastEnders years ago was the first to highlight that men can be abused as well by women.
Absolutely, absolutely, and physically as well as mentally.
Gotcha. I mean, this is it's not just one-sided. But listen, on a brighter subject, so the book's coming out as a major motion picture. It must be so exciting.
I am. I'm really excited. I haven't seen it yet. I'm dying to see it. Oh. I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't seen the whole film.
But did you get to go on the set for the day? Did you get to?
I did. Yeah, I went actually to the set. We were filming in Northampton, a big manor house. In this time last year, actually, it was in November last year. I went to the set. We were in the middle of lockdown. We all had to be, you know, tested every day, our temperature taken, everything else. We had to isolate before we went to be on set, which we were all doing anyway. And my husband and I ended up doing a bit of a cameo in a scene with Samantha Bond and Emily Berrington, which is quite fun. So look out for me in that little cafe.
Hitchcock used to do a little scene in each of his films. So you're obviously following in his footsteps.
Oh, if it's good enough for Hitchcock and Stephen King.
Now, that being said here, Samantha, we're coming up to 2022, of course, and it's normally that time of year when a lot of us make resolutions. Many are attempts the book itself they've been meaning to write here. So how successfully can people go about it here?
Well, there's only one thing to do when you decide to write a book, and that is you have to sit down and dedicate yourself to it. So first things first rule of thumb, you've got to finish what you start. You can't sell a book unless you've got a finished book. There are no half-finished books in the bookstore. So, you know, if you really want to write it, keep going. Even if it's 100 words a day, 1,000 words a day, get yourself a set routine, a set place where you write. If you like to listen to music when you write, that's great. Put music on. I can't stand any noise at all. So me, it has to be deadly quiet. Even the cats are annoying when they're mithering me. I often put them out of the room because they're jumping on me and trying to get on the keyboard. Massive distraction.
So I have a little dog here called Duchess staying with me, and I like to put her on my lap, but she likes to get on the keyboard.
Oh yeah.
Like with one finger.
I bet there's some interesting things got written then, Stephen.
Listen, what else do you have coming up for next year?
Well, I've got a couple of books that are out at the moment being submitted to publishers. That awful time where you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
I've got a couple out at the moment being considered, so hopefully I will have some news on those soon. There's some interest in House of Killers for film rights, so fingers crossed something happens with that.
Surely, when's the film actually coming out? A Stranger.
I don't know yet, unfortunately. It's literally just gone out to distributors all over the world. Yeah. And so this month is all about finding the right distributor.
It's got Samantha Bond in it, isn't it? From the Miss Moneypenny from
Miss Moneypenny from the Bond films, from
right.
GoldenEye all the way up to Die Another Day.
Well, you're so clever, aren't you? I mean, you should be on the chase. I couldn't get that.
Well, I've seen every Bond film, so even if I wasn't born,
to tell you that.
Even if I wasn't born, I've seen every Bond film. I can say that. But now, Samantha, when you're not writing, is there anything you read when you're not writing?
I read lots of thrillers, actually, and I'm often asked a lot to read other people's work. And recently I did read a very, very interesting book for my friend Stephen here, racy. And it's called Powder Boy, and there's a new edition of it out, and it's a fantastic book.
Oh, in
fact, I'd say it was. I mean, I did give a quote for it, didn't I, Steve?
Yeah, the new cover. This is the old ones here. Oh, thank you so much.
It's a fantastic book, and I also want to give a plug to It Shouldn't Happen to a Hairdresser, because that is also a great book, and it's taught me an awful lot about what goes on behind the scenes with celebrities and hairdressers and makeup.
Thank you so much. That's really kind, and you've been a great. I have to say, you know what, in this world, people say they help each other, and they don't. Sam really helps other writers. She's been incredible for me. She's been an inspiration, because it's very easy. You must find it yourself when you're doing something and you get a couple of turn downs or things don't go quite right. To just go, no. But all you have to do is call someone like Sam up, and she goes to you. Go for it, and you've been great, and it's so generous, and I believe it comes back to you. You know, if you help someone, it comes back tenfold. So thank you ever so much for that.
You're welcome, Stephen. It's absolutely my pleasure and privilege to be there for you.
Listen, how can people find your books, and can you tell them where to get them?
Yeah, you can find them all good bookstores. You can order them from, if they haven't got them there, you can go on Amazon. If you want signed copies, I'm doing signed copies on my website. So if you go to samanthaleehowe.co.uk, and the Lee spelled L-E-E, and Howe's got an H-O-E-E. So if you go on there and you go in the books section, there is a link that takes you through to buy signed copies of my books. And you can send me an email through there as well to give a dedication in those books. So if you're looking for a nice Christmas present.
You know what I'll do is, because we float this on YouTube afterwards, I'll put that link underneath the YouTube page for anyone listening. So if you go to my YouTube page, Aston kindly sends them to me, I'll put that link underneath it later on today.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you so much. Oh, it's always such fun to have you on.
It is fun, Samantha.
To see you both.
So it's an absolute pleasure, Samantha, to have you on today. Will you be back in the future with us?
Oh, I hope so. Love to see you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Samantha.
So much. Much love.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.